Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode with your boys from the PaperTrails podcast. I'm Shamaki, joined by my co-host once again, Mohammed, with his lovely NASCAR racing t-shirt. Hey,
I made a graphic about this once.
Hey, you ever watched a bit of NASCAR before?
You know what?
You haven't, brother.
You know what? I've been raving about Malcolm in the Middle for so long, yeah. And the main character of Malcolm in the Middle became a professional NASCAR driver. Yeah.
In real life?
Real life.
Okay.
Professional. At
Which
a top
one?
level.
The
Malcolm, bro.
Oh, okay.
Top level NASCAR.
No way.
He performed, like, he's genuinely racing.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to have to lock in, man.
Damn,
and I
yo,
saw this
you
shit.
really like that Malcolm in the Middle, man.
What a show.
Oh, well, okay.
But yeah, season 5.
Season 5.
Yeah,
looking alive, here we are.
Uh-huh.
And as we covered before in the previous episode, we broke down what the season was going to be about, and that is the art of storytelling, techniques, what we've learnt so far, what we are going to be learning, the documenting the journey basically in our little sit downs, because we're both trying to create something this year. We're both trying to write. And obviously this is for not only just creatives, but for people that are in businesses, people that are in anything that they are trying to showcase and sell themselves, because that's what storytelling is. You know, if you've got the NASCAR, for example, t-shirt, it had a little story to him. You know, he just told us right now, the Malcolm guy is out here doing NASCAR.
You'll never guess the price of this t-shirt.
How much?
£6, mate.
£6, yeah.
Guess where they're from?
Primani.
Tesco.
Tesco.
Yeah. What a story.
What a story that is. I
mate.
wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, bro. Did a knee slide in Tesco, but go on.
And how a bloody swoosh or a tick on a t-shirt or a brand is $1 trillion in the world, you know, like how they got to that level, which is just sheer storytelling.
Yeah.
So in the second episode, as we mentioned, we will be talking about the hero's journey. Now, this was a term coined by Joseph Campbell, which is basically 12 steps that the hero goes through in his journey and stories that basically complete his cycle.
Yeah.
And make the story a lot more compelling. And as we are now trying to do as tradition, open up with a little quote, you know, get this episode going. We have not even to risk the adventure alone, for the heroes of all time have gone before us. The labyrinth is thoroughly known. We have only to follow the thread of the hero's path. That was by Joseph Campbell himself, the hero of 1,000 Faces. Now, in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about, you know, what this book is, the author himself. But before we get into that, the reason why I wanted to also talk about the hero's journey is because we mentioned a little bit before about how we might not actually go through what heroes in stories are going through. We might not be orphans, or we might not be hobbits, you know? Might not be, you know? You never know what future technology can do, man. Maybe I might be out there, you know? But as far as I'm concerned, we ain't hobbits. However, we can understand the journeys that the hobbit goes through: fear, desperation, being hopeful, you know, love, all of that kind of stuff.
Small. That's a big
Feeling
one.
small against all odds, you know? And trying to break that down in a way that makes sense to us. And somebody that really did that is Cat Williams. He was actually on Theo Von's podcast, and the guy was dropping gems on in a place that seemed very strange to be dropping gems.
What a legend.
And he was basically like, if you are out here going through struggles, if you're out here trying to make it, if you're going through depression, if you're going through all these other, you know, trials and tribulations, and then manage to come out of that and see through it and persevere through it and prevail and be patient and come out on the other side, then you've basically gone through every hero and every character in every book, in every movie that's ever been told. Because that is the cycle. It is starting, trouble, out of trouble, and then coming back home. And that pertains not only to us who are trying to write, making our characters go through that, but also ourselves going through that as we write about characters going through that. Because we aren't necessarily well-renowned authors, which people are waiting eagerly for our next installment. We are people that aren't really known like that. And so every journey, every step that we make, we are treading through uncharted territories. And that's what he's saying, that the path of the hero is known. Many people have done this before us. And writing a book is not inventing a wheel. It's nothing new, but for you it is. And it's about understanding that and taking the paths that they took to be able to ultimately achieve your goal. So before we get into the topics that he speaks about in the book, let's just talk a bit about the author, Joseph Campbell. Born 1904, died 1987. He was an American mythologist and writer, best known for developing the concept of the hero's journey, which is a universal storytelling structure found in myths across cultures. Born in New York, he developed an early fascination with mythology and went to study literature, philosophy, and religion at Columbia University. His travels in Europe exposed him to Carl Jung's theories about archetypes, which greatly influenced his work. Campbell spent years analyzing myths from around the world and noticed a common pattern in their narratives. This led him to write The Hero with a Thousand Faces, where he introduced the monomyth, whatever that is, a journey where a hero ventures into the unknown, faces trials, gains wisdom, returns transformed. He believed myths were not just ancient stories, but physiological maps that help individuals navigate their own lives. His work became widely influential, inspiring George Lucas's Star Wars, countless other storytellers. Campbell spent his late years teaching and lecturing about mythology, spirituality, and human experiences. His ideas remain a foundation of storytelling, showing that myths continue to shape how we understand the world. And so, to just break down his 12 steps, the first one is the ordinary world. So, the hero's normal world before the adventure begins. This is Luke Skywalker on Tatooine, or Harry Potter in the cupboard under the stairs. Second is call to adventure, which is when the hero is given a challenge or an invitation to leave their normal life. For example, when Harry gets the letter to Hogwarts, or Gandalf inviting Bilbo on an adventure. 3, the refusal of the call. So the hero doubts or fears about stepping into the unknown, like Frodo hesitating to leave the Shire. 4, meeting the mentor. A guide or a mentor appears to help the hero. 5, crossing the threshold. The hero enters the new world of adventure. 6, there's tests, allies, enemies. The hero faces challenges, makes allies, and confronts enemies. 7, approach to the inmost cave, where the hero prepares for a major challenge. 8, the ordeal, a life or death crisis that challenges the hero. 9, the reward. After overcoming the ordeal, the hero gains a reward. Number 10, the road back. The hero must return to the ordinary world. 11, resurrection. The hero faces the final test where everything is on the line. 12, return with the elixir. The hero returns home transformed by the journey. I.e. when Sam comes back to the Shire as completely saved once Frodo goes to the other place, where the fun stuff is happening. But that's basically a glance overview of what the steps of the hero's journeys are. And now I kind of wanted to, on this first half, talk about, I guess, us and our writing and our experiences writing. Like, when you was writing up, how essential was your hero to your story? That might seem a bit like a strange question, but sometimes I would write, but the hero was just the POV. It was mostly the people around him that was the life of the party. Yeah. I've realized mostly when I write, I don't write a overly charismatic lead. Yeah. The lead is quite normal. He's normal, but it's everyone else and the random characters that you come across that brings the life to the stories.
And brings the life to the hero.
To the hero as well.
Yeah, no, I would say pretty similar. But I mean, it's always the point of view. Like you said, this is the first place we start. Once upon a time, there was somebody, somewhere. Yeah. That's how I'm always thinking about. Every time I'm telling a story, I'm always starting with someone, and then I come back to them after. I say, this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and then this affected this person. I think I'm always just doing that as a matter of habit, I guess. And it's funny because I guess I don't consider myself like a main character in my own story, kind of thing. I feel like I've been made by other people around me, the community around me. So that's why I feel like it kind of reflects in my storytelling myself.
I think that's quite interesting. I think that's probably how I see it as well. I'm not someone that will come into a place and be the center of attention, or like the.
Oh mate, you saw this guy at his bleep wedding. I wouldn't have said that, brother. I would not have said that.
That was a celebration.
Special day, man.
That's a celebration. Yeah, the tuxedos.
That's the end of the hero's journey there, right?
You know what I mean? But usually it's not the case. I like to know more about other people. I find, I don't know, other people more fascinating than myself. Maybe it's just, I don't know if maybe that's how everyone else is. Maybe it's just natural to always find someone else more fascinating than yourself who you kind of know yourself. You know? But it's like, I've always.
I think another point. I think it's because I've always enjoyed hearing the story of a hero, that, like, and seeing their development and stuff. But I've always seen the people around them. Most of the time, when I'm watching a story and I'm really enjoying it, it's not really the main character that's like my favorite character. It's always someone else.
You know, you know what the interesting part is with you? You always like the freak shows.
Oh, of course.
There's
the freaks in the freaks in the story.
Well-written freak show. You'd be like, that's the
what a guy. That's
like
my guy.
The guy he kept banging on about, that Abed guy from Community or something.
Oh No, he carried the show. Huh? He carried the show.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't really watch it too much, but I just be like, what in the world is going on here?
No, but that guy, he was too much of a freak, man. There's some guys that I'm just like, nah, man, you gotta tone it down. You gotta tone it down a bit. Nah, I think when I'm seeing characters that act against the script, that they cause havoc, but they also encourage the story to move along. That I find that really enjoyable, and I think I'm in my silly boy era, you know. Like I don't know why, but
quote that
as I'm getting
that.
When I was younger, I was always taking things too seriously, you know. But now I'm just like, when I see something silly, I'll just laugh like the way I did when I was a teenager. Like I just laugh at silly stuff nowadays a lot more than like my younger siblings see me. I just laugh at some dumb silly stuff, and they'll just be looking at me like, what's going on with this guy?
Can't believe that.
Everything okay?
Yeah, but in terms of like your writing, let's say you want to develop a character, say you want to create a character, like what are the characteristics that you try to look for in your hero?
There's always bravery,
chivalry.
No, not really chivalry. I don't really care too much about chivalry. I love a villain, you know. I love seeing some unchivalrous stuff, you know. But I think bravery, like trying something new, perseverance, things that I would like myself to have, I guess. That's ultimately what it always kind of was, and then winning. I hate seeing a bad end to the story.
Especially a sweet ending or something.
I don't do the bittersweet endings, man. It's gotta be sweet.
It's gonna be sweet. Nothing but sweet.
Nothing but sweet, man. Oh man, treat me like I've got diabetes, brother.
Like that.
Nothing but sweet. But like, there has to be consequences to every hero's journey. Otherwise, the sweetness at the end doesn't taste so sweet. That's why I'd rather have it bittersweet than if there's no consequences. At least at the end, it can't be perfect. So that's the way I like to write, as well as consume entertainment.
What's been the strangest guy you've ever written?
Strangest guy? Not really. I don't think I'm that.
Or do they tend to be sort of similar character personalities?
I think so. I think. Because I would say I'm a pretty consistent person, like since I was young, and I like to keep my main characters that kind of way, you know. I don't know. I guess there's always something in them, like they got a bit of humor, they're a bit serious, but they try to gain like they command respect, and then they don't really have anything too weird about them. There's always someone that's around them, or who's antagonizing them. That's where the weirdness comes in, you know. And that's where I really enjoy.
Nah, that's I think for me, I've always had the same kind of main character in all my books. Very virtuous, arrogant kind of guy, you know, like noble in every sense. And then one day I remember I was writing something. I wasn't trying to develop into more chapters. It was just like a couple of chapters. And it was just this sleazebag. Like he was getting beaten up by people and
Johnny Bravo.
Like not even Johnny Bravo. It was just like this guy that's a bit too overly cocky. And lives in New York but keeps getting slumped.
How do you feel when you're writing that?
Nah, I tell you what, it was the first time I felt something different.
What does that mean?
The guy felt alive.
Yeah,
He felt real. He felt.
He had a personality.
Yeah, he felt tangible. Like, he felt like I'll meet this guy. Whereas I feel like the noble guys I would always write about, like, I don't know where I would ever come across somebody that is ultimately holy.
Feels a bit too mythological, like.
Yeah, it's like this is who you base your story off of, like a moral story. Like, oh, become like this guy, so you know, become a good person or whatever. But like, and it's quite predictable, right? In that, like, I knew his path, and it would only have to be someone from the outside I'll be causing him problems for him to be considered like. It make his actions like justifiable.
That's why I would say I'm a bit different in that I do like to make them make decisions that would be a bit uncharacteristic of them, or they made mistakes.
Yeah.
I think if you don't put any mistakes in, then that's where it becomes a bit predictable.
That's what I'm saying, and that's what I would go for. But then I realized with Aragorn, he wasn't the main character, so he can be like that.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It was Frodo that was who. At the end, didn't even want to throw the ring.
He made hella mistakes.
He was about to bug out.
He was a BS N-word, you know, sometimes.
Do you know what I mean? He was very unpredictable.
Yeah.
You know, like Aragorn would have, actually, we don't know if Aragorn would have dashed the ring, but you'd assume he would. You'd assume good of him. You know, whereas Frodo, he got to the end, and he was like, you know, I might turn back with this guy.
Even from the jump, you can see like that's the beauty of that story, innit? Like, especially when it's made into a film. Yeah, like you can just see in their facial expressions, like, do I really want this or do I not?
Yeah, exactly.
Then you just don't know what's gonna happen next as a viewer.
No, absolutely, and that's what was interesting about it. And I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just write a sleazy character, you know, that's just trying to make ends meet as well, you know what I mean? And then I found a lot of enjoyment. I found there was more humor in it. There was more personality to it. There was more like, it was the first time I fleshed out a character that I felt like that I could see, that I have seen in places. And I don't know, it done something to me. So then after that, I started to morph my writings completely differently, where like I was like, okay, so my hero's got to have way more kind of what's it called, variety to him, something a bit different. Like, for example, like I guess Harry Potter is another one, but in a certain extent, you know, he's a bit too predictable. But the thing that she did with the writing that was good was that she made his predictability his downfall. So like he's got this saving hero character complex where he has to save his friends and family all the time, and so that was being talked about a lot in the previous books. Why is he always just jumping in? Is he not got a brain? He's just like, nah, Bunny, I'm fighting this mass murderer that's broken out of prison. Bunny, I'm just gonna fight this snake. I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like, here's a whole snake. Yeah, my friend's sister's there, but here's a snake that nobody's killed before, and if you look in his eyes, it's gonna kill you. It's like, bro, she's getting it. You know what I mean? But he's like, nah, I'm 12 years old, and I ain't even got a weapon, but I think I could take it. You know what I mean? 1-on-1. You know? So it's like people are like, okay, this guy's too, you know? So then what she did was in the fifth one, he saw Sirius Black being imprisoned by Voldemort. And so he gets that hero complex again. And so Hermione tells him, which breaks the fourth wall, Harry, I think you've got hero complex. I was like, whoa, is it? What's going on here? Yeah. And then he's like, nah, I don't have a hero complex, bro. And then she's like, no, you do. But then she trusts him and says, okay, fine, let's go to Sirius Black. And then Sirius Black wasn't there. And then that's how he even lost his... he gets trapped. His own thing. So she kind of was like, okay, this is what you guys think here. Let me flip on his head. So she kind of saved it in a way. But like...
it's also like, she's like, she kind of made it like you can't do everything by yourself kind of thing. And like when you write characters that are doing everything by themselves, it's not fun. There's no fun in it. And like the other characters want to feel involved as well, be part of the hero's journey as well.
No, absolutely. It's like I think somebody shattered something for me on James Bond, which made me have to watch it in a whole different way. Which was like, I think it was my uncle. And the worst thing is, my uncle barely knew English, but he just knew James Bond, Chemist Bond. He never die. He's like, he'll be in a room of like 20 guys. He's coming out alive. And I was like, what? And I started watching it. But he's only behind one truck, maybe this big. His feet are hanging out. They've got bazookas and bloody. They could have drones in the guy's head, and he's getting out of there alive.
The worst thing is like James Bond. Is that because he's so iconic?
Yeah,
they still continue that trend, even though like it's like the film trying to take it so seriously, but nobody else is taking it seriously.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest thing.
But then that's what I was saying. But it changed my whole perception of James Bond.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, so this guy is supposed to survive. We're not looking at the hero here. We're looking at the gadgets, the cars, the suave,
I'll tell you what,
the villains, all that kind. It's everything around James Bond that makes James Bond what it is. It's not actually him because he'll slide down the escalator, survive, jump out into a dragon, come out of the dragon, and you know what I mean, all sorts of stuff. Survive, yeah.
The one thing that blew my mind, like the first time I watched, do you remember Casino Royale when that came out? Yeah. Like, up to that point, I always thought there's villainous men, there's villainous women, there's good men, there's good women, and then James Bond was like the first. Casino Royale was like the first time I was like, God damn, you got betrayed by his woman.
Yeah,
I thought she was right or die. Like, God damn. Like that was the first time I was like, no way that's possible.
Yeah. Oh, damn, that's crazy.
What is he gonna do in the next one?
What do you mean by a woman betraying him, or just him being betrayed?
A woman that he was close with betraying him.
Yeah.
Like I was like that. I didn't know that was possible, man. You know. I was like, nah, she ain't do it. Nah, she ain't do it. She done it. Nah, man, I must be mistaken. You know, that's how I felt. You know.
You know, I'm sorry that shattered your
bro, that
perception.
Yeah, man.
That's some real ride or die.
I looked at my mom differently after that, man.
Hey, if somebody paid you, would you do it?
Literally.
What's your price? Hey, everyone's got a price. But that's what a lot of stuff that I was realizing in my own style of writing, like it's, and then one thing that then enhanced and developed my I guess storytelling ability, which is again, in the first episode I was saying a lot of stuff that I want to do, but in this I'm gonna now add another one, which is like these like short little movies. I made like a little Instagram video before, about the distance you make before when you're looking at somebody in London before it gets a bit awkward. You know what I mean? Like at this point, if you're staring at someone, it's like, do you want to fight or something? Like it's not. Whereas in Somalia, people just stare at you. It's like normal, you know?
Forget Somalia, you go to Southall, you're going to get lost.
Yeah, but everywhere else, I feel like it's like just calm if you look at someone as you even walk by them. But here, it's like,
certain countries you go, like, bro, I used to hate that stuff. Certain countries, I'm staring right back at them, man. I'll stare at them till they get uncomfortable. Yeah, like you said, Somalia. Yeah. I started staring back.
You're like, you're some novelty.
When I went back to London, I was doing the same thing. And then I realized,
you saw the blade come out of nowhere. Even heard the shing. Like, damn.
Yeah, I realized
the sound effects.
And I realized Duck and Alice went too far there.
Nah, but what the hell was I saying? Something about right.
Staring. You were talking about the video essays.
Video essays, yeah. So then, it was actually my brother that put me onto this. It was the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
You bloody what?
There's a meme out there which is the James Franco meme. Yeah. Where like he's about to be hanging and he's like first time.
Yeah.
So it was that, and I was like, "This is kind of funny." He was like, "Oh, this is from Buster Scruggs," and I was like, "What the hell is Buster Scruggs?"
Is that his name in the thing?
No, that's not his name. So Buster Scruggs is actually it's a book that's set in 6 parts. I might even do another video on that one. It's a pretty good movie.
Okay.
So it's like different parts about different stories at the same kind of Western time. So the first character that you come across is Buster Scruggs. He's supposed to be a world-renowned like gunslinger. Yeah. That's like deading off everyone.
Yeah.
But then the first shot is like him on a horse playing like some sort of like fiddle, and he uses his. He's like this. I need something to like wipe the sweat off, and he's using his wanted poster. He's like this.
What a guy!
He's like this. Man, these guys are after me, but I don't understand what the problem is. You know what I mean? He's got persona. He's got character. All these other kind of stuff, and then and then he goes through like different places and all these other kind of stuff, and like fighting people and getting out of it, coming out of it alive, but doing it with charisma, persona, and the way is done is like where he'll look at the camera and speak to the camera, like just playing on what the Western stereotypes were and all this other kind of stuff. Like, look at this guy wants to do this gunsling and stuff, and he has a battle with him, and he's like this, and he just starts shooting his fingers off. And then he's like this, oh man, he's got no fingers now, so it's going to be tough. But the final shot, he's like, that's 5 bullets, 6 in the chamber, 1 bullet left. And then he gets a mirror. He gets the mirror and he turns around and he's looking at the guy and he's got his gun like this. He's like, oh, I've only got 1 bullet left. And, you know, he's using the mirror as a reflection to actually aim at the guy. And the gun's upside down as well. He's like, oh, I only got 1 bullet left. I hope I don't make this. So let's not try anything too fancy here. These times he's not even looking at the guy. He's using the reflection to kill him. And then he does. And I was like, oh, wow, this is a fascinating little character here, because he's everything the hero shouldn't be, but yet he's doing hero stuff. It's like James Bond, but a shorter guy that's, you know, not the suave persona, but able to do stuff. And I was like, yeah, you know what, that'll be an interesting way of like capturing things, because it's always about contrast. You know, it's about one thing that looks like something and then hitting the audience with like the complete opposite. So like a Western, there's gunslingers, you know, they look like that. What was that guy that used to always do this?
Clint Eastwood,
that's it, that guy, So you think that's what it is, but here he is, this guy's out here playing all these kind of stuff, and you're like, oh, this is an interesting take. So I guess that opened up my palette even more in terms of
that's the funny thing. It's like, in terms of writing, when people tell me like, I want to get into fiction books, and like, who can you recommend? And I start thinking. Like, now there's one that I stick to, like, because I enjoy the humor of it, but also because he revolutionized the hero's journey in another way. You know what I'm talking about? Terry Pratchett.
Talk about my man Terry.
Terry Pratchett, bro. He made the most nonsense people have their own hero's journey.
No, absolutely.
And you're just seeing the calamities that they're going through, like nonsense decisions they're making, but somehow they get to the end and they still win somehow. You're just thinking, how on earth did these people? Like, so if you're looking for like a fiction book, and like you don't want it to be too boring or like Lord of the Rings kind of thing, or ideal. No. I'm saying the public's perception. The general public who doesn't read.
Of course.
Like their perception of Lord of the Rings, for example. Look at this guy, man. He was about to fight me now.
I was trying to find a blade.
So Terry Pratchett, the whole Discworld series is just great. And if you don't want to read a whole series, there's a book called Gods, where like you're always talking about like the main character, then he's got the main villain, and then the main villain's got his henchmen, and then you just got like random gods, you know. And like, what the hell are those gods do? I always used to think that when I was like reading stories, I was like, what the hell are these guys doing outside of the scenes? Like, like what's their lives?
They're all like, the HP is just one hit. The guy
like
just punch them and then they're out.
Like
the remainder of the whole mission that this person's on, they're not coming back.
They're out. You watch films and a guy gets smacked one time and he's gone. Or
like a purse will hit him and it's like, that's just through to the next round.
Like someone will throw a coin and it'll hit a wall. Easy. Lights out. He's seeing stars. So that book's kind of about those guys and like what's happening between the scenes. And they're chasing the heroes, chasing the villains, and like they'll even go through the parts where they're like, man, I don't know what happened. I was out for 2 hours. But I woke up, I was here. Like that's the kind of stories that book is telling. So Gods by Terry Pratchett.
Absolutely.
Like, for me, he's one of my favorite. He's probably my favorite fiction writer right now. As I talk, because I'm in that city boy era, like I said.
Absolutely.
But also because the stories are great. Like it's not like he's just making nonsense stories. He somehow makes them have a whole plot.
And meaning.
A meaning behind it.
Root for this random.
You start rooting for these dumb guys.
Absolutely. But it's like, it's so funny. It's like the way you were saying, like, let's say for example now we have that guard that the coin just hits the wall, ricochets, he's now knocked out. What he's done is, instead of now following the hero that's done this to get to the next stage, he just pans the camera down to the guard on the floor and you see the guard going like this. Well, finally he's got past me. This is not in my pay grade.
I don't get paid enough.
I don't get paid enough to fight a hero. I know a hero when I see one. This guy's a hero.
Some 8-foot guy came running down the corridor. I'm hearing screams behind him. What do you think I'm gonna do, man?
We've been guarding a locked tower that is protected by a dragon. The dragon is dead. What's gonna happen to me?
I love that character.
The dragon is gone. Rapunzel is out the tower.
You're hearing this guy.
Finished.
You're hearing shing, shing, shing. Ah! All your boys going down.
We just sent 6 guys on him and he's come back out and all I'm hearing is, come on guys, this way. And I'm through the door. The least I can get is a coin to the head.
Yeah, what do your boys say? Hold on, man, I'm gonna go check what's happening. He doesn't come back.
And his best friend's a Legolas.
Oh, what can you do?
He's hitting my eye through the peephole. We're not looking.
Oh, mate.
We're getting cooked.
I'm going down before the coin hits me.
No, absolutely. And there's a line that he says where he's like, where they were chasing after the hero in a way that guards who don't really want to catch the hero run after the hero. You know what I mean? Like half-hearted.
Yeah, that's the other thing. That's the other thing when like the heroes are running away. Like they make it, how they make it so much space and time? Like what the hell? These guys, they're not on it. These guards are not on it.
No one's getting.
They're like, hey, you're getting close, getting too close. Chill out, bro. You know.
Yeah,
that's the beauty of that story.
Yeah, man. If you're a working security bouncer and then you hear somebody introduce themselves as Bond, James Bond, I'm not engaging. He's walking right through.
License to kill.
License to kill.
Ah, damn.
Shaken, not stirred, brother. Yeah, nah, absolutely not. So yeah, no, that I think even on the whole historical trope that he has is. It just goes to show he's somebody that understands history, the history of fantasy and what fantasies are and what we expect. And then, because a common phrase in history, in fantasy is guards are like, stop these guys.
Yeah.
But now you're just hearing it from the actual guards that are being...
Like if you hear that, what are you thinking?
Well, if I was the guard?
Yeah,
well,
you hear that.
It depends who.
You just got your SIA badge, yeah? You just qualified last week. And you're here, yo, catch that guy.
Just see Captain America, go, we gotta secure the building.
You just see Captain America's shield fly off a wall, hit some other guy.
Their neck is severed, and then the shield's coming back to him.
Oh, hell no.
Hell no, brother. I'm seeing my family, especially with Batman who breaks bones.
You're cooking out straight away, yeah. You're emailing your manager.
On the jury that Batman's on, I'm out. You know what I mean? Nah, man, that guy breaks bones and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, no, he's an interesting one. Like you said, he's flipped the whole narrative of what the hero's journey is. And what pertains to be a hero, you know, and he brings it back to the ordinary man. Like Sam Vines is the captain of the guards, and that's what he is at the start, and then he becomes more than that. But it's just looking at somebody who's an ordinary person, ordinary life, and then giving them that hero's story, which is essentially where I wanted to come to, which is ourselves, you know what I mean? As creatives, we are upon and embarking upon the hero's journey. And I heard one podcast, it was actually Quentin Tarantino on the Joe Rogan's podcast. And he said something that I sent to you once, and he was like, what the hell is this? But I sent it to my brother, who really appreciated that link. And what he was talking about was that in that time in the 80s, unless you had a job, like not a job, unless you had a degree, you weren't able to get a good job. So you'd fall in between, and you'd be working maybe in a retail store or like in these other kind of places where you wouldn't necessarily, if maybe they liked you, you'd become manager. And that was pretty much what he was saying was the cap. And so he was saying he was working in a video store where he was selling films where like blockbusters basically. And he was saying he didn't mind it. He liked it because he wanted to be a filmmaker. And this job was adjacent to what he was doing. Like he was still watching films and talking about films. Like he would be here if he didn't get paid for it. And so he was saying he had a friend called Steve-O. And Steve-O, he said they would all hang out sometimes after a thing. And he said he was just like still in the shop, and he was left with him. His other friends were busy making films and stuff like that, like actually going after their dreams. And he said for a minute he was just asleep, just living day by day, you know, working at the place. And then he said one day Steve-O guy started to get real with him. And then he was like to him, when I was 20, I used to hang around with guys like you, like Quentin, just chilling in this place, not doing much. And we would not do anything. And then when I got to 25, I was still hanging around with guys just like you. And then I got to 30 and I'm still hanging around with guys just like you. And then Quentin was like, I was deep in that he wasn't actually coming at me, but he was, because you still hang out with him, but he was actually trying to tell him something. He was trying to tell him something that he because Quentin at the time was only 25. And he was saying he was with this guy telling him this stuff. He was seeing 5 years into the future with somebody that fell asleep in their position, not trying to change or trying to seek get out of their comfort zone and where they would end up. When he said after he turned 30, he started becoming bitter and resentful about all the stuff that he never did because he was like, I was just hanging around with guys like you, like I never did. And he was getting mad. And he was like, at that point, he realized that things had to change, otherwise you would end up as a resentful Steve-O, because he said in those kind of jobs, time goes by, next thing you know, you're 28. And he said 28, and I'm in that position at 28.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, brother, you're speaking to me here. And that is the threshold of the hero's journey. And I feel like what you said at the start or towards the end of the last episode about you leaving your job in pursuit of the creative journey is firstly remarkable. Gotta give you props, but it's also scary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So that to me now more than another one. Huh? It's more scary than remarkable.
No. To me. But that's what I'm saying. But it's like, but before we get to that, where would you say on the 12th step tier that we were talking about that you would be at?
You're gonna have to remind me, bro. That's a lot of steps.
There was a lot of steps, but I'll tell you where you're at.
I think I'm at 2.
You're at 2. I think it's the call to adventure.
Yeah.
Where the hero is given a challenge or initiation to leave the normal life, where Gandalf is inviting Bilbo out on an adventure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think I'm definitely there. Because I haven't yet set out on that adventure, but I've accepted it, you know? And I'm thinking about, damn, how the hell am I going to challenge this?
Yeah.
How the hell am I going to tackle this adventure? Who am I going to take with me there? How am I going to do it by myself? I don't know.
Yeah.
Do I have the tools for it? Do I have to buy the tools? Do I save up for the tools? You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is where I'm definitely at. Like, I'm just past the crossroads that I had put myself on for a long time. Where, like you said about Tarantino, like I was there at 20, I was there at 25. I'm almost 30. I think, do I want to be there going when I'm 35 saying, damn, nothing's changed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So no, I'm definitely, I've set out. I'm still in the village, you know. I just stepped out of my house. But I'm trying to get to the bridge outside of the village, you know. That's where I am. And I think the thing that when I read through the notes that you had written, and I saw the mentorship side of it, like at that point, it got me thinking, because I've always liked the idea of mentorship and like learning from other people, and I've always been studying other people for a long time, like online and stuff, like studying what they do, how they do it. Because I'm someone who's heavy on comparing myself to other people who are more along the same journey that I am. So I'm always comparing myself, like trying to replicate what they've done. So I thought about that, and then I was like, who's my mentor? And it's got me thinking like how I'm gonna get to that stage as well. So it's cool that he created that kind of framework to consider when you're stepping out into that journey, you know. So I think I'm there. I think
mentorship is an interesting one. That's weirdly enough for me. That's something I'd like the idea of, but I've never really considered. I felt like mentors were very, inaccessible to.
That's a big thing,
You know what I mean?
And furthermore, you've got to be very, very open to being vulnerable in front of someone who's going to criticize your work. And that's something that a lot of people don't want to do, and that's something I don't want to do.
Yeah, no, of course.
I hate getting criticized for my work. I'll tell you one thing that happened to me recently. So I'm doing graphic design for the local madrasa that I've been a part of since I was a child. And then they asked me to design something. I designed it, and it's like the audience that I had designed it for were not I knew that they wouldn't be appreciative of the design from the jump because I've done it before with them.
Yeah.
But at this time, it really shook me because I created the thing. They didn't know quite what was wrong with it, you know. They didn't know quite what was wrong with it, so they said, "Oh, like, can you put it in the group chat? Can you ask this other people what they think about it?" And blah blah blah. I was like, "That means that you don't actually have any criticism of it. Like, surely we just go ahead and print it and just stick it out." And then I'll share it with other people, and a couple of people would have a few grabs here and there, but nobody was like, "Oh, nah, this isn't fit for. This isn't suitable for the audience or whatever we're using it for." You know, so. That was something that annoyed me, innit? And then I was thinking, but all right, what, like, just a few people that don't understand graphic design annoyed me in that way. So how would it be if I got someone who understands it, critiquing it? And then I sent you a few things about podcast art. Yeah. And then I already knew in my heart that this isn't the direction we're going in, right? Yeah. And I did it twice. Yeah. And I produced completely different things, right? Yeah. And I knew, like, you know what? I don't love it for the purpose that we're going to be using it for. Yeah. But let me just put it out there. It's a bit of a laziness. Yeah. Because I'm like, all right, if Shamaki accepts it, like, all right, cool, it's out there. The standards aren't low, but I just set them there.
But the standards weren't low. Do you know, it's not like it was bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The standards weren't low, but they were lower than they should be. So I was like, you critiqued that in that way, and I was appreciative of your critique. Where I was like, Ahmed, you should have done better there. Like not even better. Like you should have done different there. But that's the what do you call it? The struggles of a creative, because you've got to have the belief in your heart as well that whatever you're doing is fit for purpose at the end of the day. So it's always about storytelling, the story that you're trying to tell with the creativity that you're producing.
And I think what's beautiful about for example, the mentor thing, especially in the books that they have, is usually a mentor that holds his hand out to you, that has been there, and says, you know, I see something in you that you can actually do it. And so it's like, we're not. I think for the next generation it'll be different because we'll be older, and then we would have pursued this career, and we'll be able to turn back and say to kids like younger than us, like the 17-year-olds now, and be like, okay, this is what you should do, and this is what we should, and actually give them that ability to have that. But because I guess we don't really have people accessible to us like that, we don't have people that actually see like, oh, you're actually quite talented. You just need to be polished like this. It's just like, we have to tell ourselves we're talented enough until we come across that mentor. And if I feel like that person that we will come across, that, like, I don't know, let's say for example Quentin sees a video we make and goes, "You're a talent kid," in his voice, and I think you got your own places. And it's like, we won't get that really unless we do a madness. But it's kind of like that level of mentorship is an interesting, because it would be so helpful. It would be exactly what we need. But it's about getting that. And then maybe we might not get that. Maybe we would have to become a Kenobi and then become that for the next, you know what I mean?
You know what, that's the craziest thing, like, as you're talking, even when I first talked about the mentorship point, the reason why I said that resonated with me, because I always considered, when I'm watching something, a film or reading a book, whatever, like, when someone's telling me a story, I always resonate with the mentor more than the main character. Always,
of course.
Like, standard. Because I'm like, this guy's been there, done that, but he's still got a heart.
But also,
like, he's got a heart to help someone, but also the heart to go through the journey again with that person. Like, that's tough. Going through the journey once and then doing it again. Because you want to help the next generation. Like, I always found, I was like, that guy is sick.
Of course.
That's where it resonated with me. And I'm like, I don't really have someone. Because I've always resonated with that. It's like I've always been so ready to be the mentor for the next person.
Of course.
Which is funny. It's a bit of a paradoxical thinking.
No, it is. I think I kind of had the same thing, but with, funny enough, Harvey Specter. Because he's very much the fixer in Suits. And I remember I was looking at it, I was like, yo, like, not only is he a mentor.
The show Suits, what people don't know.
The show Suits, and not only is he a mentor, but he's also somebody that will, like, if it's like, oh, this lawsuit is coming up against you, we've got Harvey to sort it out for you. Like, for example, Donna, who's like his receptionist, she had something big against her, didn't have the money, and she was like, oh, I need somebody. And he was like, what are you talking about? You've got me to...
He'll get stuck in.
To sort it out for you. And he's a big law firm guy. I was like, yo, like, how beautiful would it be to have a fixer or like a mentor to go to and be like, yo, I'm having a problem with XYZ, and like a Dumbledore, for example, and he'll fix everything for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Where you made mistakes.
And then weirdly enough, paradoxically, I started getting into that position of becoming a fixer for my family because I yearn for that in a weird way. You know, I don't know if
you
it's
yearn to fix things.
well, I guess we're getting vulnerable here.
Huh?
I guess I've always looked for that.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
I've always looked for like that mentor that has been there and done that and is like you've got the chops.
You mean in the creative world for
in
yourself, in your career?
Yeah. Like I guess we literally have each other. Like if I come up with something, the first person I'm going to is you to be like, oh, yo, bro, what do you think of like? But we don't have somebody that's like 50 years in the game.
Yeah.
That's done it to be like to bring our standards up. In a weird way, we're only pushing our standards up to
Messi and Ronaldo, you know.
Yeah, but it goes up to our limitations of what we know.
Yeah.
Like me critiquing you or you critiquing me, the best of your knowledge is the best standard that we'll hit. We haven't reached. Like if I made a short movie, you critiqued it. You haven't really made that many short movies. Likewise for me. So my critiques won't be the same as, let's say, for example, if we knew a Quentin and he or somebody that was been up there to, you know, and
not to be corny, but I'm even deep in it further now. That like when I said I don't resonate with the main character, because I resonate with the mentor, and then I realized that, you know, I'm the oldest brother in my family. Yeah. Like I've always been the mentor. Yeah. You know, I've always had to act that way. Yeah. So like I've always like you said, yearned for mentorship myself. Yeah. So that's why when I see that mentor, I'm like, I want to be like that. Yeah, exactly. That's why I want my young siblings to be the main character and be like, they're comfortable and I'm gonna fix every problem they got. You know, it's crazy how the way you are raised, your personality kind of impacts the way you view another character, you know?
No, of course. And what it's all about that searching that we were talking about the first episode about the art of storytelling. It's about you understanding yourself. And then sometimes in fiction, when you've got such a variety of different characters and different people and different personalities, you suddenly realize, oh wait, why am I drawn towards this personality? Where you wouldn't get that level of exposure to different people or groups of people in any other setting, except for a fantasy kind of thing or fiction kind of thing where it's okay to put so many clusters of people because anything can run here. Whereas in non-fiction, for example, you won't come across different personalities and this and that. You mostly see a memoir at most, but it's about like one person. But the thing about, I was going to say for my part, if I was to say, like which stage I was at, it would definitely be the at the village at the start. Obviously, I made that video before about Kill the Boy.
Very good video.
I appreciate that, and now I've kind of made it more questy about the dragon, killing the dragon instead of like that part of yourself, because I feel like it feels better and it's more conquering. So I feel like with every goal that you've got, or like that I've got, that everyone has, whether it's like even finding a new job, going somewhere else, or making a tough decision, that in and of itself is a dragon, and the treasure is always on the other side of the dragon, you know. And for me, even getting out of the village is conquering, is slaying a small dragon. But then once you fight it, you realize it's just smokes and, you know, screens and shadows, and it's nothing like, it's not the actual thing. It's just different glimpses of what you fear. And I feel like the biggest dragon that I feel like, especially a lot of people might have, is poverty. You know, like being afraid of poverty stops a lot of people from actually trying to pursue their calling. You know, like every hero has that calling, and I feel like being comfortable staying in a job, being like, you know what, let me not get out of that. Which is why I admire what you're doing, you know. And it's like getting out of a job, getting out of that so-called comfort in order to pursue your goals is the start of every bloody story.
Should I tell you the funny thing? Like you said, poverty is one thing, and then along the way, that poverty is is killing you, because a lot of like creatives or people that want to do something with their lives, there's always stress or anxiety in the back of your head because you always wanted to do something, but your heart, your brain is telling you, oh, if you do this, your anxiety and your stress is telling you, if you do this, you're gonna become like this, and then that puts what you're doing in the present in terms of, let's say, what job you don't enjoy, makes it all the more stressful. You can't live in the moment anymore. You're always living in the future. Like, oh, what if? That was killing. Like a lot of time I got ill because of stress. And I feel like I haven't been ill for a long time just purely because I realized that, and I'm managing my stress better. And like part of that decision of leaving my career behind, like 90% of the stress in my life has dropped purely because of that. And like that means that I have more energy. I'm more physically able to go and pursue what I want to do, because I'm just generally more relaxed, you know. And I'm not like thinking about, like, you've already got your day job like causing you stress, and then you're thinking about the idea of your day job, which is another monster, right? The monster in your head and the monster in your face is different, right? That's also causing you stress, and then you also want to do something in your heart. So like it's a triple whammy, you know. That's what causes a lot of health problems. Like you read the book before. What was the book? The guy that wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People.
How to Stop Worrying.
How to Stop Worrying. We read that book, and he was talking about like there's so many conditions that this purely caused because of stress. So like
and the gut,
like,
worrying, and next thing you know, you've got all sorts of stuff. So like I think I'm at that stage now where like I'm already reaping some of the benefits of like just taking the first few steps outside of my house. It's a blue sky, the sun's out. Damn,
you know?
Right.
That's where I would say I am right now. So,
and I think I'll be getting to the second stage, but I think for me now it's just about getting out the village, which I've been very much dormant on for a long time. You know what I mean? Comforts and like, how is it? Just touching it here and there, you know, looking through the trees, but never actually full on and pursuing it, because it's that constant same cycle, that same routine of like day in, day out, same thing, but I know where I want to be. And it's interesting in the hero's journey, of course, in the end, or towards the end, there will be conflict. There'll be hard times, you know, upon our quest here, dear fellow creatives. Well, there'll be tough times going through the weeds and the enemies, or the things, the more dragons that are coming along the way. But I feel like once the calling is strong enough, then it's enough to actually, you know what I mean, get you through
the ordeal,
the whole ordeal, you know. And so it's about getting out of that, getting out of my head. And I feel like there's ways to do it. It's like either you pack your bags thoroughly and you go, okay, I'm going to get a tent, I'm going to get pot pans, and I'm going to get this, going to get that. Actually, I feel like I should get this. And you know what, maybe if there might be rain, so maybe I should get an umbrella as well. Now you're packing so many things, and then when you're ready to go, you're just burdened by so many. You can't move. You know, your inventory's too much. But I feel like sometimes the best way to do it is to be like, okay, I've got a compass, I've got my shoes, I've got a few things here. Let me just go, I'll figure it out. Basically on the way, you know. And that's how, especially with the creative thing, like there is the challenge is that there is no guarantee, but that's also the fun.
That's life, because
anything can happen, you know. And at the end, we won't be sitting like the 30-year-old Steve-O guy saying, damn, like at your age I was, you know,
could be, but I'm only a few months away.
No, but I'm saying all we'll be doing is just telling the younger generation, oh, like do it like I did it, or we'll be like, you do it because I never did it. You know what I mean? Or either one of the two. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's a powerful place to part ways and start our journey. You know, is there anything you'd like to say to our fellow people as they begin their journey, as we begin our journey?
I think it's good to start the season, like obviously it's episode 2, but to start the season properly with a topic like this, we're showing some of our inner battles and our vulnerability as well. So it'll be interesting to hear some of your struggles as well. Where are you on the hero's journey? Where are you on your hero's journey? Do you feel like the hero? Do you feel like the mentor? Or do you feel like you don't even want to be the hero? Like a lot of people are like that nowadays. Like people question other people. Oh, why don't you want to do this in your life? And you see a lot of people are just happy with just living in the present, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. All being like side characters to their children that they put all their investment in. Side character sounds like it's got bad connotations, but I mean like supporting character that they put all their investment in their children for the child to become the main character. You know, there's many different things that people can, you know, obviously fall into. And but our journey, of course, dear fellows, is the hero's journey. You know, we're trying to conquer. That's what it is. And whether you're at the second step like Moses, you've gone beyond the village and now you're seeking your bounty, or you're
about to cross the first river and you're thinking, where's the bridge? Do I need to build the bridge?
Yeah. All those thoughts, or whether you're like me and you're just at the village and you're preparing a few things to get going. The question is, you need to ask yourself, how much do you want it? Do you really want it? And it's going to be scary. It's going to be tough. It's going to be lonesome. But that's what we're here for. And
we're here to be the sporting cast as well.
Absolutely. And so, you know, we're trying to reach our calling. And I'm getting called as we speak. You know what I mean? How poetic is that? So with that being said, and us chasing our call, are you guys willing to chase your call? Thanks for listening to the PaperTrails podcast. If you like this episode, please leave a review, comment, like, and subscribe. And be sure to follow us on all our socials.
Keep moving, keep growing, keep learning. See you at work.